Hello, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Jibran and welcome back to my channel. Today I have Wahib with me and he is very good in his work, and today he joined us to share how to write a perfect CV and how to write a perfect email for applying for the job. So first I would like to ask, can you please introduce yourself? What you do, how long you've been here?
Thanks for inviting me, first of all. I think it's the first time for me as well. We're giving a video interview. Yeah, my name is Wahib. I have been living in Germany for past 6 years or so. I have been working for past overall, let's say, 8 years as a full-time developer. I am from IT industry. I'm a software engineer by profession, in particular Android development. And yeah, being employed is itself an experience. I have been on the opposite side of the table for hiring. In my previous company, I built the team myself, and it was a very enlightening experience for me to be and to see things from a different perspective. And it is not easy to hire. It is not easy to interview, and it's even harder to evaluate candidates. It might look like easier for candidates. It might look like candidates always why recruiters are taking so long to reply, because there is a lot of work to do. So that was one of the enlightening experience for me to understand the pain points and the challenges of from a recruiting perspective. So yeah, I'm here. I had this topic in my mind, and I shared with Jibran that I wanted to write a blog post, but then procrastinated on it for a long time, and then wanted to give a talk, and then and then you came into the picture, and then you asked maybe we can do a video interview.
Yes.
And then I said, why not? I have some thoughts if it could benefit maybe our Pakistani community living in Pakistan, in Germany, or in general international community, how they can improve their CV in general from a perspective of applying to international companies, international startups in Germany or in general even. Then basically that's what we can talk about today.
Yeah. So thank you for joining. Thank you for sharing your information.
Awesome.
So what do you think? What would be the perfect CV or the perfect resume in order to apply for the German market?
There is no formula.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's a very, very opinionated and very subjective topic. Different people like different kind of CVs. Different recruiters like different kind of CVs. But I think there are still certain denominators which are common, and we could, I can share maybe some points which I have seen, which were kind of guiding principles for me, and which I have seen in the CVs I have reviewed, and maybe someone from audience can learn not to do those mistakes, or to learn from these points. We can go through. I mean, I have certain points in front of me. I think first of all, it's the most important thing is to recognize and realize that the recruiter has very short span of time when he wants to shortlist you. So imagine you have sent a CV, or he got your CV from somewhere, or he looked at your LinkedIn and found the link of your CV from somewhere. He has tens and hundreds of CVs which he has to shortlist on a daily basis.
Yes.
So in Germany, in Munich especially, there are a lot of jobs, but at the same time there are a lot of candidates. It's a highly competitive market, especially the software industry, the tech industry, and the recruiter has a short span of time in which he will give a look, and he has to decide if he has to really go forward or not. Go forward, I mean, if he has to decide if he wants to read it further or not.
Okay.
So he might give a benefit of doubt, still read it, but he has to like it in a very short span of time. So for a candidate, his job should be to make your CV as likable as possible, and not give any chance to recruiter that he somehow get distracted and somehow get annoyed by anything on his CV, because he obviously needs a candidate, but more than that, candidate needs to be hired.
Yes.
Because he already has many options. And a candidate should make the best out of this opportunity. So he has short span of time. Make sure that you make the best effort in your CV, because CV is the one which you.
It's your first impression.
It's your first impression. It's the first thing he's gonna consider his and before he starts talking to you.
Yeah.
So that's your best chance.
Yes.
Absolutely. So it should be good, interesting, likable. Then we can talk about, let's say, structure. I think that's the. I mean, we all have these courses in university, right?
Yes.
It's always some. I don't even remember the name of the course. I think it was business ethics or
something
like that. They always teach you how to write a good CV, how to write a great CV, but we always forget, and we somehow.
But there's also a difference, because the thing is, like, what we learn in our country and what is applied in Germany.
Yes,
it's also different.
Absolutely, there are cultural differences on perception of CV and candidates recruiting, but and I'm sure you also noticed that when you come here, even as a part of, I remember as a part of admission process, they used to ask for a European CV,
yes.
which is 2 pages long,
yes.
huge. There are so many things you have to enter. And when we graduate, we somehow presume that this is the only way recruiters gonna accept us, or German recruiters gonna consider us. But actually, I think that's a huge misconception.
Okay.
Hardly, maybe, I don't know, big German companies do, but companies, startups, tech companies I have worked on, they don't give any preference to just European university, European format of CV. Any CV is okay. There is no. I think there is no template of CV.
Okay.
You could design your own CV, and it's totally cool to design your own CV to make it even more interesting, more innovative, more likable. And also, there is a misconception that only designers and UX guys have to have a more fancy is the wrong word, maybe a more interesting creative CVs, but actually devs them can use this opportunity to make a creative CV. And so format and layouts are important. I think the important thing is to have those important information there, not exactly how you lay out it. But obviously the layout has to be elegant. I think I would like to have an elegant CV which without a lot of text inside. So I think the next thing is basically content. So layout, there are no formulas. Make it as I personally am a fan of minimalism. So my CV, I would say, try to be more minimalist, but I think CV is also something, is like your source code, which improves over the passage of time. I think if I compare to my first CV ever, it will be the ugliest CV ever.
Okay.
But I also learned the hard way, seeing other CVs, learning from mistakes, getting feedback from recruiters. How I could, or from seniors or from mentors, I have improved myself. I don't think it's the best ever. It's just good enough for now, which works. So when it comes to content, I think candidates should just stick to the facts. You should explain like your work experience and stuff, but you don't need to write your life story in CV.
But it should be like, suppose if you're applying for any job, then it should be like, okay, you first mention your work experiences in the recent one, then goes to the next one, and then your education. So these are the points which...
Absolutely. I have those points which I'll come back to them. Right now I'm trying to be more like a high level and then go more into the format. Next is, I think the biggest pain point usually is, or most of the memes on the topic of CVs are about grammar mistakes. And I think this is, on one perspective, you could say it could be a human error, but I think CV is so important. Recruiters expect a lot from you, and they expect that you have invested enough time making it better, making it look better, and the content you wrote should be grammatically fine, correct, especially if it's in English or German, doesn't matter. And I wanted to suggest that maybe many people don't know that obviously you should always get it proofread from someone who is good. I mean, it could be anyone, I think, because we all are humans, we can all make mistakes. But there are tools like grammarly.com. They are free. You could basically just upload the text and it will basically highlight the and suggest you the changes. And I think these are just very, very small, cheap efforts by which you could instantly have a very big impact.
Yes.
And because those, it's not that they will not get hired because of the grammatical mistake or some other typo, but it's just you don't want to leave a bad impression of any kind.
It's your first impression.
It's your first impression. Try not to leave any chance to even have that feeling of, man, this guy didn't read it properly. This guy didn't even read his own CV set twice.
Yeah.
So you do.
So don't rush. Take your time.
Don't rush. Take your time. Invest enough time. Invest weeks even to polish and finalize your CV, and then start sending over. Because I remember you asked that about sending CV. Do you want to have a same CV for every company?
Yes.
I think this is also a very important topic, and also a mistake many junior devs do, that you try to have one CV and then you send to everyone.
Okay.
Irrespective of the position, you try to send everyone. I mean, it works most of the time, but I think for a certain level of seniority, and especially if it's a totally different position, for example, you cannot send a CV for a Java developer to a .NET position. There needs to be some things different. Maybe your profile or objective or something, how you organize your tech stack, what do you want to sell, has to be a bit different, or it's a totally different domain, like you're applying for a business position and then for a tech position. There has to be something different, and if not, you could be at a disadvantage if you don't do it. So
a person should have like a different CVs for different markets. Like suppose if I have a .NET experience and also Java experience, but a job come up with the Java experience, so I should use the CV which is for Java. Job.
I mean, that's one thing within one industry, and then you have cross industry.
Yes.
Because sometimes I think we do consider different positions. I don't know, maybe administrative job.
Yeah.
You cannot send a tech CV for an administrative job.
Definitely.
You need to show these things differently. You need to say things differently, because the recruiter for that position gonna expect things differently.
Yeah.
So if you want to target all kind of different positions with one CV, I mean, it will work probably, but you might.
It's not a nice impression, like good impression.
I know you might be at a disadvantage. That's
Yes.
what I want to say. If a candidate is smart enough, I think he should try to invest a bit more time and try to target different target positions smartly, and also use the right appropriate type of CV. That's what I would say in that regard.
That's a good information.
What else? I mean, again, CVs. I think. What do you think? Do you think that CVs always have a lot of content?
Actually, that's the thing that people actually sometimes write too many things. Like suppose they write like 10 languages that they know, and for that application or for that job, they only need 2 or 3. So actually, the other languages is kind of like extra text.
And on the opposite side, we tend to use this opportunity to brag a lot.
Yes.
We think we have to oversell. I mean, maybe sometimes you can oversell a bit, but there is no line where you should stop. But because if you, like you said, if you mention 10 languages, recruiter might expect that you do know those languages. And he might gonna ask you about if you mention C++, and then you only learned C++ 6 years ago, and you never used it. So but again, that's why I think in my CV as well. I think, or also I've seen other CVs that it's good to, like, for example, segregate. Like, these are the new technologies I'm working on. These are I'm good at. And these are I'm
intermediate level.
So that it's like you give and so I think on a very lower level, or at a very core level, it's important to not add irrelevant content. Make it short and crispy. I think the content should be add content, but not too much. Only relevant stuff, which sells the purpose. But at the same time, don't make overuse of the space. And because CVs have to be, I am a big fan of one-page CV.
Okay.
I try my best to keep my CV one page.
Okay.
And it becomes hard the more and more work experience you have, because then obviously you have a lot more to sell, a lot more to say.
Yes.
And so I understand the struggle, but this is also something you learn with experience. What content, especially, I absolutely no need to mention stuff which I did in my first 2 years.
Yes.
Because I have a lot of more relevant and important stuff which I did later. So I have to pick and choose and to make sure my CV remains one page. But I know, but that also depends a lot on the layout of the CV. But it's okay to have 2-page CV as well. People should make the best use of what they want to sell. It's not a hard and fast rule. More than 2-page, also unless you are, I don't know, a director level, then you really want to showcase all your work, all your projects, then yeah, maybe makes sense. But in my personal opinion, I tend to stick with 1 page.
And I also want to add one comment that you said, like, write things which you have done so far, even if you have done it like 6 years ago. But I would suggest, like, if you're doing something, like, it's not like if you open the software, you know how the layout look like, then you just add that software's name.
Yeah.
Because only write which you know, which you can talk about.
You can talk about it, and that adds value to your profile.
Yes.
I think in probably every Pakistani CV, you will find people mentioning, I know MS Word, I know MS Paint, I know Microsoft PowerPoint. And this is, I think, is relevant. You could I think everyone should expect that these are the bare minimum basic computer skills. You don't need to mention those. These should be, things, because at the same time, unfortunately, when people don't have a lot to write about, they still have to fill the space.
Yes.
Then they write their social skill, they write about their hobbies, interest, a lot of other
movies they like.
They are a huge, I think, chunk of irrelevant stuff which people write. But again, CVs evolve, people evolve. It's a different CV when you're a beginner or an internship, a guy who is studying, or a high school student. It's a different CV when you are a senior position, or a program manager or director. So CVs are different for different positions. CVs evolve. The understanding of CVs also evolve. People improve over the passage of time. So it's unfair to judge, because maybe that's what he knows. But that's why it's important to look out for more help. And
that's the purpose of this video as well.
And exactly, these kind of videos look to ask people, ask experts, ask people in industry, ask them to review, and that's how you basically. But you should always be on the quest to improve your CV, especially when you are switching for the next time. Make sure you at least have a better version of that CV that you use for the next time, not the one
not
which
the
is
same one,
not the same one. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I like you. So now we can maybe talk about certain topics inside the content wise. For example, I think high school degrees becomes irrelevant when you go at least 2 years in work experience, even maybe for the first one. Of course, you should mention your bachelor's. Of course, you should mention your thesis, but individually courses, maybe not, unless it's really relevant. For example, you could highlight maybe the top 3-4 relevant courses.
But your majors in.
But your majors in exactly for that position. Then not the whole course outline. For example, personal information. For example, I've seen CVs where they mention even national NIC number, which is totally shouldn't be allowed actually, because it's really personal. You should care about your privacy, and these kind of I think you should be concerned and be just conscious about what kind of information you can share in your CV, while keeping things relevant. The other, I think most of the struggle we do is when we write the objective. Because the objective part, how we start our CV, let's call it header. Because then we Google, we look templates, we check all existing friend CVs, send me your CV, I want to look at your objective. And you don't want to copy, probably this guy also has copied from somewhere. You want to be unique and still.
And recruiter have seen like so many applications, so he just like first glance he knows, okay, you copied this thing from somebody.
It's the standard. I want to be in a fast-paced environment where I can hone my skills and use my. I mean, they work. They are fine, absolutely. Personally, I don't like objective. I have myself as well. I also something I advocate. I prefer like just bio, or what we call like a profile. Basically, you just introduce yourself, and then you just exactly say what makes you a bit different. What are your special selling points, and I'm interested in this position, instead of having this generic. Just I prefer more personal one. More personal objective, more personal profile or sales pitch.
Something which can link to your profile.
Exactly, something which can, rather than just a template level objective which you just saw somewhere.
Okay.
So
that's a good point.
Yeah, I really also I like to see it in CV. Also personally as well, I prefer just a normal, like if imagine someone has asked you, describe yourself in 3 sentences. That should be my profile. Like this is how I want the person to. I know it's hard. I mean, you do a homework. Try to describe yourself in 3 sentences. It's really hard.
Yes.
Because you want to impress the other guy. You want to still describe your all personality and your things you like, and you want to sell yourself better so that you stand out among the crowd.
Yes.
So it's hard, but at the same time, this is why it's important. And everyone should be able to describe himself in 3 sentences. It's like
you can just lay back.
It's like your sales pitch. What's your sales pitch? And then when people, what kind of information people. So we expect that when we talk about header, we expect that someone either has a profile photo, and then we expect people share their contact information, like their email, their name, their phone number, address. I think they all are relevant.
LinkedIn profile as well.
LinkedIn profile, if it's a tech job, then I expect someone to definitely share their GitHub profile or Stack Overflow or a website, even better, if you have a personal website. So because that will, and you should, I think I absolutely stress upon that people should share their relevant internet, let's say wherever their presence is, all these web links, because that's gonna help the recruiter, that he's gonna visit those pages, your website, your Stack Overflow, your LinkedIn, your GitHub. So make his life as easy as possible. Don't make his life hard that he has to Google your name or to visit other pages to get access to these URLs, because he really want to know about you. Okay, you got his attention, he's interested, he wants to know more about you, and he will definitely visit those websites. He's gonna read more, discover more about you, to have a big comprehensive picture. Is this the right guy? Is he a good cultural fit? Does he have the good skills? Does he bring something more than just the technical skills or whatever skills required for this job? So I believe it's in your favor, your advantage, to give him make him reduce the effort for him to find those links. So this is important, and still not sharing any personal information. Email is must. Don't share 2 emails. Always share 1 email, because
a decent one.
A decent one. That's even a topic in itself. What kind of email? Yeah, you will be surprised how many even people who are already in working professionals, they still continue using it with date of births and with weird prefixes or suffixes. So yeah, again, I don't know. I'm not a recruiter, but I don't think a recruiter gonna not consider the guy, but it will just leave a bad impression.
Unconsciously,
because of our. We all have cognitive biases, so somewhere he might give you less points in his mind whenever he's giving points unintentionally. So try just not to score bad points. Because you don't want to score bad, right? You want to get this job, you want to get this attention of recruiter. So this is important, and have 1 email, so that don't give him any option. Don't don't leave a choice for him. Just 1 email, just 1 number if he wants to. This is my address. It's important to mention your city, most important, because then and country, of course. Then he knows that if a recruiter needs to arrange a visa for him? Does he need to offer relocation to him? Is he from the same city? Do I need to arrange a Skype interview, or do I need to call him on site? So it's because, again, if you leave this critical information, he will have to ask you. It will add delay. He might have to look it on your LinkedIn. What is your current job?
He might skip your application.
Or he might, if he is not interested to look more, he's gonna totally skip. He's going to the next guy who has a pretty good CV. So just give no reason for him to skip your CV. Yeah. And I think you will add these images later on. I think these are good, relevant ones. I have added some bad examples and kind of some good examples.
You can find in the description.
Exactly. You brought the topic of the photo, right?
Yes.
Like, what was the question?
Like, it should be the professional picture, because the people, because in Germany you can actually go to the photographer and have a professional picture.
That's one question. The second question, should you even add it or not? Or should should use. These are again very subjective questions. There are CVs without photo. There are CVs with photo. I think a more let's say accepted way is to add a picture. Of course, then professional one. But I mean, professional doesn't mean you have to pay for it, or you just invest.
Usually universities have some, like usually in universities there are free things.
There are so many ways to find a cheaper way to get a
you can ask any friend.
The important thing is that your face is clear, it's a closer portrait, and just looks decent. You just look decent. And I am in favor of adding picture, because I think it's because while you are sharing your profile, it's basically you're telling your story and about your persona, about your personal data as well, about your skills and stuff. So it's equally important for the recruiter to even see you, not because how you look like, if you're a guy, a girl, or you have a beard, just to see that that this is, I think, on a personal, it connects you on a personal level, because being humans, we prefer more visual representation. I think it's but I know it's a sensitive topic in a lot of countries, because this adds this possibility that you might be racially, or I don't know, on basis of different metrics, you could be discriminated, and you might not get this job.
But in Germany, it's actually very important. People do
in all Western countries, there are very, very strict laws. They specifically mention on their recruiting websites that we absolutely don't do any discrimination based on religion, race, gender, or any other, or disability or whatever. And they shouldn't. Absolutely, they shouldn't. And this is a huge topic in industry as well.
We can talk some other day about it.
Yeah. Especially when more and more AI-based tools are coming in to shortlist CVs.
Yes,
it's a huge topic. It created a lot of waves around the data machine learning pundits. But that's a topic for another. But I mean, your name, your photo, your current position, your phone number, your all relevant online profiles, date of birth, nationality, city, email address. I mean, these are all I think fair enough to add, because this gives good understanding of your persona. Those are certain pieces of information which is kind of the most relevant one, which you can add in your header. Rest, I can share some good and bad examples of what I call header or profile or objective section, and then maybe it's helpful for the audience. I think that then the next most important section in a CV is basically work experience, right? And then, like you already shared, that I think it's important to have, first of all, in chronological order, because obviously recruiter wants to see what is your current position. That's the most interesting and most relevant one. And then, but at the same time, he wants to know what is your past experience. And then it's up to you as a candidate, like how far you want to go, and make sure that this is relevant, and how much volume of content you want to have it in your CV. And when I say about work experience, I think this is one point where I always have to share this feedback with a lot of people who ask me for feedback, that and most of them kind of have just bare minimum information in their work experience, like I was a senior developer at this place and I was doing this and this was my project. But they don't use this opportunity to really sell themselves, really sell their experience at that company or in that position. I think what they can better do is that they can add, obviously, what kind of position was that, because that's relevant for recruiter, what kind of projects they worked on, and maybe add a URL so that the recruiter or the technical guy can actually evaluate those projects and get a more understanding of the competence of the candidate. And also it's equally valuable to know and to mention that what were your learnings, what were the challenges you worked on, and basically but how did you contribute to that project or that
all the tasks, all the key points and everything important.
Because but again, many times they mention just responsibilities like a bullet points, and I think it's okay, but at the same time I think the important thing is to summarize and just share the still like a summarized version of your challenges and responsibility, not just throw bullet points on the in the CV. So because it's personal, so it's good to add your own touch, your own personal touch to what exactly were your challenges, what exactly what you learned, not just stuff which was the whole team doing. You got my point? Like more personal and more either in macro level, more micro level, exactly, because that are the stuff which the candidate or the interviewer gonna talk about in the interviews. That's how the conversation gonna start. And that's the work experience is extremely I think important and very very not to be taken for granted, of course, for all the good reasons. And I think next would be the next section of our interview, which is basically talk about how to approach applications in general. Like what is always one thing is obviously CV, but how you send CV, how you apply for CV, apply for an application. I think mostly if you notice, there are nowadays, I think for a long time, it's most of the time it's just you go to a website and basically you have a form, you fill in, attach your CV, or you have a LinkedIn. Now I think LinkedIn makes it very easier to apply it using that one link button.
You can find
and it's good. It's convenient for candidates. Makes it harder for recruiter because then they get a lot of applications. So bear in mind that part as well. Or email, typical email. You go to a web page, to the recruiting website. They mention the open positions and they mention email. Send us your CV. So email is equally not to be taken for granted. And then we can email. I consider email more as of a cover letter. I think that's for me where you have to have you need to be personal in email and because again before he reads your CV he's gonna read your he or she gonna read your email. So try to be very personal, still try to sell yourself, try to tell about yourself, why you are passionate about this company, what are you bringing in, still not too long, a summarized version, and then I am attaching my CV. So instead of adding please find attached my CV, just this text in the email, better make use of this open. Write some good information which makes him likable, makes him interested and curious to open CV and know more about you. Secondly would be to basically LinkedIn. I personally give a lot of importance to LinkedIn. I think it's very I'm again like one of those weird guys who have LinkedIn as a mobile app, but again no one has to have that. But I think because I consider, even though I'm not looking for a job, I still give enough importance and I try to keep my profile updated. And I think that's where, I mean, it's not everyone has to do it. Most of the time people open LinkedIn only when they are in a job search phase. Whenever I've been in a job search phase, I have always gone for premium membership of LinkedIn. It has always helped me. I always go for 1 to 2 months. depending. But I tell people that it's fair enough to invest that money, because that helps you in getting more higher, let's say, exposure to recruiters.
You can approach more people, your application.
You can send more emails, messages, and also recruiters gonna get your attention more, because that's how LinkedIn works. And then it comes to keep your profile updated, have your skills always updated, use the right keywords, because again, it's at the end of the day, it's SEO, because recruiters search for people using certain keywords. It's better you use those keywords so that in your profile or in your work experience, so that your profile shows up, because obviously we apply to jobs or companies which we like, but many times headhunters approach us. Most of the time too many headhunters, and sometimes it's very annoying to receive calls and messages, especially in IT sector. But
after all, you know how to deal with them.
Yeah, you know how to do, and I believe IT industry is a highly privileged industry, where there is a shortage of jobs, and there is a abundance. There is a lack of candidates, good candidates. So, but LinkedIn, I believe, also people take very. It's a very underrated thing, and people should invest enough time. As much as this CV, they should take LinkedIn more seriously, because that's what recruiter gonna open right after reading your CV, and it's good to have enough valuable information and details on your LinkedIn, so that he could know more about you. And another important thing was actually the main premise behind making these slides was also that most of the people approach me who are in Pakistan, and they are always complaining that I have applied for jobs for a year, no recruiter has ever responded to me. And I always wonder why. They could be. I know there could be hundreds of reasons why they didn't get a response to their email or to the application or to the CV. Maybe because many times recruiters or jobs are here only for seniors, so they never respond to a junior guy, or maybe they don't like to hire from outside. That's also a fair reason. They prefer someone who is from Europe or Germany, but I think there's one topic which is given not so much important, but I realized when I talked more with CEOs and recruiters that they really are looking for someone as a cultural fit, and the cultural fitness is a very complicated topic. At the same time, it's very important and relevant for companies, because so it's a challenge for someone far away in a different continent to impress. Not just with skills, technical skills, also to be cultural fit. And I think it all comes down that you should look like a decent guy who is not just a guy who likes to work on computer, who likes to talk, who has good enough communication skills, who is transparent and honest, and just passionate about it. So that's maybe a piece of information for people who are applying for jobs in Germany or abroad, that try to make your content and try to show either through written content or when they have a phone call, try to show your willingness to be adaptive and to be willingness to integrate well in any kind of environment. I think that's what they are really looking for. They don't want, because somehow there are certain let's say misinformation or concerns in a mindset of a European recruiter for people from, let's say, Southeast Asia, which kind of hinders them in giving enough attention. So they have certain concerns. So it's some are unfair, but the point is that you as a candidate need to make sure that you impress the recruiter in the right way, and they kind of have trust in you. And overall, every person should seek help, like we seek help for other career decisions or other topics. I think CVs, how to write a good email, how to write a good cover letter, how to make your LinkedIn better, considering, like, for example, there's a LinkedIn score, how to improve your score, read about stuff, ask mentors, ask ask people in the industry, ask recruiters to know their perspective. So it should be more like a quest for every candidate to basically always be improving his skills when it comes to applying for a job. Most of the time, I think obviously you usually only care about this topic when you're only in job search, and otherwise you just don't care, which is okay. But I think the important thing is to maybe just not use the same CV you use for your current job.
You should just change it.
You should not just change, but use a better version of it and try to improve it all the time. For example, I think some months ago I started this little initiative for because I realized that especially for final year graduates in Pakistan, they don't get this help, and they're always looking for this help too, and they might get right attention from recruiters. So I just created a Google form where people can actually add their information and upload their CV, and I got a bunch of my friends on board from industry, and we will review them and give feedback via email. So maybe they can help, maybe it's helpful for them. So yeah, you can share this Google form.
I will put that in the description.
And so that maybe someone can benefit from this opportunity.
This is a very good opportunity.
And yeah, this is basically most of the things which are on my mind. And obviously everyone can approach me. I'm highly approachable on LinkedIn. I am very approachable on Twitter. They can message me, ask me questions, and if I'm not an expert, absolutely not an expert at anything.
But your experience is
but
like
if maybe they are, well, I've learned one or two things over the passage of years, and I could, at least respond to certain feedback.
Thank you, Wahib, for coming to my channel and giving this so comprehensive information about how to write your CV and how to send a CV, what is important, how you should do all the things to actually
enhance your chances to get a job.
So thank you very much. I hope this information will be beneficial for many students and many job hunters right now in Germany or anywhere in the world who is applying to Germany right now. So thank you once again. Then see you next time in any next informative video or interviews or any vlog. Bye.
Bye.